Hey guys, what's up? It's me, Gretchen, from Gretchen's Vegan Bakery, and I just wanted to come on here really quick today to do a very informal video for something that I just came up with recently. I'm calling it my Aquafaba hack. It is really going to change your life if Aquafaba is in your life in excess like it is in mine lately. And I basically came up with this recently because I've been doing a lot of cold preparation mousse desserts, like my most recent pumpkin mousse cake, my raspberry mousse cake. I also have a peanut butter chocolate mousse cake from several months ago, my black forest mousse cake. So all of these recipes are incorporating Aquafaba, right, where we're whipping it up to a meringue. And if you have done any of that, you know that Aquafaba could be a bit finicky, to say the least. And it is really hard to keep it stable when we're trying to work it into a recipe. And so this is not really my hack. This is sort of my secret weapon that I've used recently by incorporating a small amount of agar into the reduced Aquafaba liquid. And then once it all cools to room temperature, you're going to whip that up, and that agar is going to help stabilize your Aquafaba meringue. So that's just one thing, but the hack that I'm talking about has come out of a recent conversation. As I've been sharing these recipes, people are saying, you know, I've been having kind of a hard time whipping up such a small amount of that Aquafaba, especially when the agar is incorporated in there, because if you know anything about agar, it cools super fast and it's going to set whatever you put it into really fast. And so there is that little trickiness when it comes to whipping and working with such a small amount of Aquafaba like that. So this is my hack that I have created to really just take away all of that difficulty for you. I mean, even me with a stand mixer with the balloon whip attachment, which is wonderful for whipping Aquafaba, even I have a hard time whipping such a small amount of Aquafaba because some of these recipes may only call for a quarter cup or a half a cup, and so that could get difficult, especially if you have a hand mixer. So I'm going to show you my life-changing Aquafaba hack, and it's basically by just really creating this Aquafaba meringue in bulk, only using the amount that you need to go into your recipe. And then you're probably like, okay, but what am I going to do with all of this excessive meringue that's been whipped up? Well, that's the hack. You're going to just pop it in the refrigerator. It will slowly deflate over time, but when you need it again for any of your recipes, you're just going to take out the amount you need, re-whip it. It whips back up like a dream, and that's my hack. So I'm going to show you guys how I do it, how it reacts, what it looks like, and what you can expect if you do want to incorporate this hack to make your life easier. Who loves you guys? You know that I do. All right, check it out. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to use 2 cans of chickpea liquid, and I've got 2 different brands on purpose. Sometimes a recipe says to use the liquid from 1 can of chickpeas, and this right there can be the first problem. Not all cans are created equal. So I've got an organic one and then a regular no frills brand. And the organic can had only about half a cup of liquid in it, whereas the no frills store brand had closer to 3/4 of a cup, which is a more typical amount for a can of beans. This piqued my curiosity, though, to see how much beans was actually in each can after the liquid was drained. And the organic brand with less water had substantially more beans by weight, about 3 full ounces more than the other brand. So basically, if you're looking to get more beans for your buck, go for the more expensive brand. It'll probably have more beans in it, but for Aquafaba liquid, just go with the cheapy brand. It's probably got more brine in it, and that's what we're looking for anyway. So I'm starting out with 1.25 cups of Aquafaba liquid, and the basic ratio of my Aquafaba to agar is half a cup to half a teaspoon. So I am using 1 full and just under half a teaspoon of agar to that full 1.25 cups of Aquafaba liquid. So bring it to a boil, and it doesn't need to boil for much longer than about 20 seconds since I'm not trying to reduce it at this stage. Just boil the agar to activate it. If you do need to reduce your Aquafaba liquid to a higher concentration, you will do that before you measure in the agar and then proceed from here. So I just wanted to show you how little of it really evaporated from doing this process. I mean, honestly, a couple tablespoons, if that.
So let that cool just so that it's not piping hot, and then you could start whipping it while it's warm. You really don't want to wait until it cools because that agar will start to set the liquid. If that does happen though, you can just rewarm the whole thing and then start over. I don't mean start over, I just mean start whipping it again. It really doesn't take long with the high-speed action of the stand mixer, but with a hand mixer, the process will definitely be slower. I think this took me a total of about 6 to 7 minutes to whip it up to full glossy stiff peaks. But as you do start whipping it from liquid, you'll see that the splashes onto the sides of the bowl are actually starting to set. So I do have to go in several times to scrape the sides just to make sure it all whips evenly with no chunks of agar hanging onto the sides of the bowl. So once it really starts to gain volume, you don't have to babysit anymore. Just let her rip and let her whip on high. And you can see it's really going to start get very white, thick, and glossy and strong. Now, I did mention cream of tartar, I think, or some of your recipes will at least, and I do prefer to add the cream of tartar to the actual amount needed for the recipe, not to this bulk amount. It's just easier to control the amounts that are going into your recipe that way. I know a lot of people can't get cream of tartar, and it is included in many of even my Aquafaba recipes, so it is okay to leave it out, but it really does help add a little bit more stability even on top of this agar addition. Now I do want to make one note that this method is specifically for cold preparation desserts, not for baked recipes, since agar when baked will just melt, and that's going to defeat this whole purpose. So meringue buttercreams, mousses, meringues are where this will be the best help. So as you see, I have this massive amount of Aquafaba meringue here to use in my recipes. It definitely whipped up way better than just a measly 1/4 or 1/2 cup amount would. So I have been implementing this in my desserts lately. That total amount of 1 1/4 cups of liquid Aquafaba made about 6 cups of whipped meringue. I was a bit heavy on my first filling of the 4-cup measure, so I think it was definitely close to 6 cups total. So to make this easier for you, no matter what amount of Aquafaba liquid your recipe calls for and then tells you to whip it, if you are using my method here, you can just do this bulk whip and then fold in the required amount. And this is all measured by volume. In this chart, I have worked out for you how much whipped you will need to fold into your recipe. So if your recipe calls for 1/4 cup of liquid Aquafaba, that is to be whipped and folded into your recipe, you will need 3/4 cup of whipped that you'll just pull right out of this bulk amount, and you can store the remaining whipped meringue in the refrigerator for about a week. So as it's in storage, you will see though that it is going to start to deflate, and this was after just about 2 hours. I was hoping that you could see on the video, since sometimes it's hard to see anything that is pure white on the video, but I think you can see that it's kind of foamy now and not as stiff and glossy as it was. And some of you may be asking at this point, well, if that happens after just a couple hours, how can it be stable in my desserts? That's a good question. The addition of other ingredients for mousses and buttercreams will aid in total stabilization of the recipe. And for just meringues, for like lemon meringue pie and such, the sugar that's added to that is the added stabilizer. So this one here is another 2 hours that has gone by, and you can see that even some of the liquid has separated back down. And I mean, I did stir it quite roughly though, so I did accelerate this process and deflated it much more for sure. But don't worry, this will still be usable after 3 and 4 times of re-whipping. Every time it just goes back to its original fluffy, glossy, stiff-peaked meringue. So I do hope you will incorporate this into your vegan baking regimen. It has been a real lifesaver for me because trust me, I'm like you when it comes to the frustrations of some of these processes with these recipes. I mean, seriously, that's why I came up with this method. So I really do hope you're going to subscribe to my channel for more and visit my blog for a wealth of information around all things baking. It's not just recipes at Gretchen'sVeganBakery.com, guys. I do try to really explain to you the science behind all of this. And speaking of the science behind all of this, if you do want to learn more, I have an online course at veganbakingmastery.com, and it's all around egg replacers in vegan baking. It's been really awesome. Everyone has loved the course so far. They've gotten so much out of it. So if you're somebody who wants to learn a little bit more about the science of vegan baking, definitely this is for you. The links are all below, so just click on through, and I hope you will visit me on my blog and come back again here for more videos. All right, guys, until next time, happy vegan baking. Bye for now.